Well, hey there, dude, or duder, or his dudeness, or El Duderino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. Here we are, finally getting around to making you this video about how I do my soft stowage and how I kind of amalgamate hard stowage into the build. And I'm doing it on my Iraqi T62, 1962 with the T54 cupola on it. And I'm just going to show you basically how I can use soft stowage to kind of hide certain crude details in the kit, how to make it blend with hard stowage, and how I do my flowing tarps and such, like the covers that I like to put on the MGs. I'm saying a lot. It's edit that out. Right. Yeah, sorry about that. Had to cut for a second. Right. So I'm just gonna, like the video you did for me, walk you through some of the tools and media that I use. So starting off, for the actual soft stowage for the tarps, I'm going to use classic milliput and green stuff. That's what I use. I can't say that this is going to work with any other media. I haven't tried it with any other media. That's the stuff. And the milliput in question, because there's a few different kinds, you want to use classic milliput. Okay, classic milliput, classic green stuff. Something else I'm going to do that I've experimented with, I'm going to put a camouflage net over the barrel of the main gun, because that was something that was done quite a bit with Iraqi vehicles, so I'm going to show you how I do that as well. So what you're going to want for that is gauze, just standard gauze from a first aid kit. You know the stuff I mean. Tools you're going to want to have handy: a nice sharp Stanley blade. You cannot use a scalpel for cutting the milli green stuff mix because it tears it instantly. You have to kind of, I'll show you how I do it, but you have to have one of these, and it's really good if it's sharp. And also an old one, a dull one that's already been used, just for, well, I'll show you what it's used for. Tweezers. Got my selection of tweezers there. Super glue. It can be the gel kind or the flowy kind, it doesn't really matter. This is the liquidy stuff, it really doesn't matter. Rolling pin. I like to use a AA battery. Gloves, just standard powderless, definitely powderless latex gloves. It's important that they're powderless because, well, you don't want the powder getting in with your milli mix. PVA wood glue. This is going to be for the camo net. Pot to mix that in. Disposable paintbrush. And before I get into the hard stowage that I'm going to use, probably the most important ingredient, corn flour. I like to use corn flour instead of baking powder. Sorry, not baking powder, baby powder. I hate baby powder. It stinks, it's toxic. Out of all the smells in the world that make me gag and throw up, it's baby powder. So, I don't know what that means for my future in child rearing, but anyway, I can't stand the smell of baby powder. It's disgusting, and corn flour does the same thing for what we're going to do, so this is good. Just not regular flour, it's got to be corn flour. I tried regular flour, it doesn't work. So good old regular corn flour. You can get it anywhere. One more thing I'm going to use for the milliput phase is a plastic bag. This is one from my local hobby shop. I keep the bags from there because it's a nice glossy bag. You don't want to use one of those matte plastic bags. It's not a pun on your name, by the way. you want a glossy one like this. You can see it's got a sheen to it, and that wants to be nice and clean. Use some little clamps to hold that down to your desk. I'll show you that in a bit when I get to it. Have some cocktail sticks handy. And I'll show you the hard stowage that I'm going to be using. So hard stowage is coming from 3 aftermarket kits. Plastic barrels and cans from Mini Art. Believe it or not, ancient Tamiya US infantry. I'll show you why. And the last aftermarket set that I'm using for this particular build is the Mini Art Street Furniture with Electronics and Umbrella 35647. That comes with some really cool little pieces that I think fit in with this subject. And now, also, I'll tell you, like, how do I do stowage? I like to think of stowage as telling a story. So, kind of gives you a little hint as to what the tank's been up to, where it's been, who its crew are, the situation it's finding itself in. For example, an Iraqi tank in Kuwait in 1991 really wouldn't have that much military equipment. They didn't have that much stowage anyway. But I'm going to be including a lot of civilian stuff, like they've been looting, because as we know, they picked Kuwait clean, and there was a lot of civilian shit that they'd taken for whatever reason. So I'll quickly walk through the actual bits and pieces that I'm going to use as hard stowage. Small plastic barrel from the plastic barrels and cans set. Little jerry can from the same set. From the Street Furniture with Umbrella, plastic table. And there are its legs. A plastic chair, because I saw Pete Robinson put these on some of his builds, and I just really like the look of a plastic chair on a tank. I don't know why. I'm going to use a recoil guard from the main gun for a T-54 interior kit that I'm not using the interior of. AK-47 or just AK-762 wooden ammo crate from Eureka. These are really good. Hashish hubbub pipe from the Street Furniture set. I just think that'd be a real cool little touch. I've wanted to put that on a model for ages, so now I'm doing it. I'm going to chuck a parasol on. That's right, a parasol from the Street Furniture set, because I can combine the parasol with the Milliput green stuff mix to kind of do a 2-in-1 soft stowage, hard stowage combo, which I think is going to look kind of good. An AK from the... I can't remember if it's from an aftermarket kit for AKs or if it's from the Trumpeter Iraqi tank crew, but just a little AK-47. Now from the US Infantry Tamiya set, which is really old and you can't use the figures because they're freaking terrible, I'm going to use 2 boots, which I'm going to clean up and make them look like, say, civilian running shoes. That's bits for the hubbub pipe. A little teapot. A little cup. A plate. These plastic water bottles, these are from, I think, Green Stuff World. You can find various aftermarket manufacturers that make these little plastic water bottles. I've seen these on... oh shit, I dropped one. I'll find it in a bit. You see pictures of tanks especially in the First and Second Gulf Wars, with these plastic bottles on. And also from the American Infantry Ancient Tamiya set, these helmets, because they look just like the Iraqi helmets that they had. Little fiberglass helmets. So, why not? Let's put a few helmets on there. A canteen from the latter set. And a little tiny grenade. That's it. That's all the hard stowage I'm going to be using. So, now I'm going to go grab some lunch. For me, that's going to be about an hour. For you, that's going to be the snap of a finger. When I come back, I'll show you how I do the camo net and how I do the soft stowage, the tarps and such with milliput and green stuff. So I'm back. Next stage is going to be to stick on some of the hard stuff just to get it out of the way, and stuff that you know isn't going to get in the way of soft. So I'm going to fix the jerry can, the barrel. No, I'm not going to do the barrel. That's a lie. The chair. And we'll fix the ammo box on. Why not? So we'll just get those out of the way, and then we can work on putting soft stowage and kind of amalgamating it with the hard. But this are the three that I've decided are going to be untethered. They're going to be without any soft. So this is, I'm not going to show you this. It's just gluing it on. It's, dude, how to glue stuff onto a model, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to cut, and when I come back, those will be glued onto the tank. Just before I proceed with that process, I'm just going to show you one thing that I forgot to mention earlier in the media, and that is fishing line. This is 0.15mm in dark green, and get this at any fishing shop. I'm sure, I know you fish, so you've probably got some, but it's best if you can get the stuff that kind of looks like, can't get it to focus, but it kind of has that stringy texture to it, because it's actually nylon fishing line. PE line, says here, braid. And a whole roll will last you eternity. And what I've done is, using the knife, I've cut a few sections just ready to go at close hand. So I'm not going to be grabbing the reel and cutting from it in the middle of the process. I've got a few lengths just ready to go right there. So, right, back to gold. Okay, hard stowage is glued on. At least the stuff that I know isn't going to interfere with the soft. So the recoil guard, the chair, the jerry can, and the AK ammo box. And I was going to fix the plastic table on as well, but it's going to go there, and it's going to lean against the machine gun. But that'll get in the way of the soft. So this is what I mean, like, kind of play with it a bit and figure out where you want everything to go before you glue it on. Because if I was to glue that on now, that would have completely interfered with tarping up the machine gun. So that's why that wasn't glued on yet. And I'm going to show you how I do my tarps. I haven't done this on a model for a while, but I did it on a T72 that's long gone, and it worked. So this is what we do. Pot. Not the good kind of pot, man. The boring kind of plastic pot. That's some, Jesus, some wood glue if I can get it open. God. Just give me a second. Bear with me. Undoing. There we go. Broke the seal. Okay. wood glue. I apologise for the crudity of my videos. They're not very... I'm not much of a video guy. Just a little bit of wood glue in the pot, really don't need much. That'll do. Just a really small amount. We really aren't needing much. Throw that away. And just gonna run to the bathroom across the hall and get a cup of water. And you want it to be really thin. So we'll start with that. Here's the... You want it to be really thin, this wood glue mix, because the idea is to harden the gauze just a little bit so we can kind of mould it around the barrel when it's gone off a bit, but so that it's not rock hard. So you want this wood glue to be quite thin, like maybe a bit thicker than dripping, but nice and thin nonetheless. Okay. And now on a plastic bag, glossy plastic bag, definitely not the same one you're going to do the flouring with, different plastic bag. Just going to use a disposable brush. Get off the excess and just brush on the wood glue. Now, it's going to look terrible to begin with. Don't worry about that. Don't let that defer you. It looks like a horrible mess. Now, more water to kind of clean it while it's still on there. Okay. And now while it's like that, we're gonna this is a tricky part, and it could go wrong, but it's worked for me so far. So I want to kind of separate it out again, and then once I've done that, just kind of separated the gauze, I'm going to hang it up, make sure it's not dripping anymore, and I'm just going to hang it up to dry with a clamp. Actually have to use multiple clamps to kind of hold that one in place. It is messy what I'm doing. You can't really see it at the moment, but I'll show you in a second when I'm done. I'll probably edit this a little bit. Okay, gotta go wash my hands. Okay, so I'm going to move the bag out the way now, carefully, not spill anything anywhere. Just get that out the way. Right. I made a bit of a mess, but that's okay. So, that's what I've done. It's now soaked in watered down wood glue. And you can see how I've mounted it on clamps there. It's not dripping on the desk. And you saw when I was kind of spreading it out so that it wasn't all stuck together. And it's kind of got a randomness to it now. And that randomness will set like that. And you want to look at the drying times on the actual wood glue that you use. For example, this stuff is touch dry in 3 hours. So in 2 to 3 hours, that'll be ready for me to mold around the barrel of the main gun. By which time I'll have done all the other stowage. But anyway, I'm going to clean that up because it looks like I've been doing something else at my bench. Hint, hint. Not really. And when I come back, we're going to be doing the best part, the Milliput green stuff soft stowage. Alright, time for the fun part. About to do the flowering, and something I forgot to mention was that you really want to be wearing dirty crap clothes that you don't care about for this, because it's going to get messy. Real messy. I'm actually wearing one of my mum's baking aprons, but don't tell her that. This is the only downside of this. It does get really messy. That's why I've put that's the main reason I've put the bag down. You could do it on your model mat, but on your cutting mat, but it's just so messy, so it's better to do it on a glossy plastic bag. Then you can just take it away, shake it, clean it, and reuse it. So, 2 equal-sized blobs of Milliput. There's no rush with the Milliput because it has a 4-hour working time, so it will get stuck to the gloves kind of, but I prefer doing it with my bare fingers, but it's not great for you. Your fingertips get really dry, and especially for me being a guitarist, that ain't ideal. So they don't have to be perfect, just roughly equal in size. So I'm going to cut a little bit of the brown away. That'll do. Okay, right, so just get mixing with that. You get the idea, just kind of twist, knead, like dough. Just mix the Milliput up in 2 even parts. I'm sure you've done that before. I'll cut now, and this will magically be ready for the next step. Here we are. So, same process for the green stuff. Don't try and use water to mix the Milliput and the green stuff. It'll just cause problems later on when you do the flowering. Just stick with it, be patient, and do the just do it with your fingers. Don't try and speed up the kneading process with water for either. You'll notice that I've got less green stuff than I have milliput, and I'll explain that in a second. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make each separate component into sausages. So just roll the milliput out into a sausage, or a turd, or a torpedo, or whatever you want to call it. I don't like turds, they're unattractive. I do like sausages though, so I'm going to call it a sausage, because I like thinking of sausages when I'm modelling. Sausages for dinner tonight. Okay, so you're gonna Alright. Same with the green stuff, which is a lot more sticky. Again, I'm saying that this works with this particular media, and I can't speak for any other media because I don't know, I haven't tried it. This has always, since doing stowage, been my recipe. So try this with something else at your own risk. It might not work out. Just saying. Classic milliput, classic green stuff. And there's no rush doing this particular bit because they've both got pretty long working times, so there's plenty of time to get it kneaded. Right. So the milliput green stuff mix are going for roughly 2/3, 1/3, or 3/4, 1/4, so 1/3 the amount of green stuff that there is milliput. And in this case, by chance, I've ended up with exactly the right amount, but sometimes you'll end up with a longer milliput torpedo, or a shorter one, or a longer green stuff one. So when you've rolled out your sausages, use your old knife, like I said, to cut it. And you want to mix it all up into one big blob. Don't do separate blobs. And it doesn't need to be a perfect amount, just roughly 1/3 green stuff, or sorry, 1/4 green stuff to 3/4 milliput. And they're both pre-mixed. Don't try and mix the 4 components. Mix the milliput up, get it ready, mix the green stuff up, get it ready, roll them out, and then put them together, rather than trying to mix it all up in one go, because that won't work. So you can see that my milliput torpedo here is about 3 times as long as my green stuff one. So now I'm just going to mix that all up, twist it up until I've got the right colour. And the colour is how you know when it's done, when you're ready to go. And again, this is just simple kneading like dough. Just kind of mash it together in one big blob. Powderless gloves. If you're using powdered gloves, the powder's going to get in there and it's going to completely fuck you up. So powderless latex gloves, if you wear gloves. I suppose the see-through plastic gloves would work as well, just as long as they're not lubed or powdered. Kitchen gloves would do, yellow gloves. So you can see how that's kind of taking on a more greeny colour from the beige of the milliput. And I'll cut now, edit, and what you'll see in a minute is the finished milliput green stuff mix, and I'll show you the colour that you want to go for. So I'm just going to